We should be live, hopefully. And if you're if you're there watching and we're live and the sound is good and everything, can you pop something in the chat for me so I know our settings are all good and we're working. And also, welcome. Happy October. It's October 1st today. I've got my friend Dina here with me today, and I'm going to paint our picture in watercolor, and Dina's going to show us how to do it in acrylics, and I'm hoping it's going to be really fun. I think it will be. We're both just a tad nervous, but that's okay. So, to get started, I think I'll let Dina explain a little bit to you about her style and how she found her style, and then we will get into what we're going to draw today. But just so you know, we're drawing this. It's a happy little jack-o'-lantern and a black cat, and we're doing it in silhouette. And so, Dina, go ahead and tell us about that.
Okay. Well, I've been painting for a long time, and a couple years ago, a friend sent me a picture that somebody done for him, and it was done in a silhouette. Well, when you put a black deer in green foliage, it really just doesn't look right. So I thought, well, I can do better. So I started out with blue hues, and then I used stencils to do the deer, and then I put my own spin on the background. And that was just basic silhouettes. Well, in the past few years, I have graduated to this.
Which is very beautiful.
So I'll hold it up so everybody can see it.
We have a bit of lag, so give us a second. So
Yeah.
my preview screen doesn't show what you're seeing, so
Okay.
we need a second. But anyway.
Make sure everybody sees it. I basically took it and added more detail, more sunlight, more light to darks.
I see you've got highlights
Highlights,
on the sides of your
yeah.
trees and on the back of the bear.
Yeah. Basically where I would think that the sun would shine, and I also put shadows underneath the bears. So basically it's like looking into the forest and actually seeing the silhouette of the animal. So, and that's just what I've been doing.
And it's representational but not realism.
Realism, no.
You're not attempting to make a photograph.
No.
Because this is your art.
This is mine.
And so.
Well, every artist puts a little piece of themselves into the art.
Exactly.
So it's the way they interpret it. Like if you work from a photograph,
Uh-huh.
that artist sees what's in the photograph that pops out to them, not what the actual photograph is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. So that's what we're doing, and we're going to do some silhouettes today. And like I said, she's going to do hers with acrylic, and I'm going to show you how to do it with watercolors. And so it looks to me like I've got someone watching out there, but no one's put anything in the chat. So I want to just remind you, if you pop a little something out there in the chat, just let me know you're there and where you're watching from. It helps to know if the sound is good, etc. Because how I'm streaming to you today, I have no way of knowing if the sound is off, if there's no sound. So you would have to tell me that. You have to be my eyes and ears out there in, I guess, YouTube land. So that said, moving into this, let's go down to the tabletop here and show you what we've got set up. We're side by side here, so you're going to see part of the time Dina's area that she's working on and mine right here, and then part of the time I'll zoom in. We'll zoom in on Dina's part and zoom in on mine. But for right now, here's everything. And actually, I can put it in the beginning here where we're talking to you, and you can still see everything. If I just press the right button, because of that lag, I don't know yet. But surely it'll pop up there in a second, or else maybe I didn't do it right. Let me just grab my mouse and pop over here and check something in my, oh, you know what? It's not turned on. There we go. Okay, now we're there. Sorry, my fault. And we're back to there. Okay, so what we've got working is I found a couple of pictures, and you know I've told you before you can go to unsplash.com and get royalty-free pictures that you can work from. And so I got a jack-o'-lantern and a black cat silhouette, and I mashed them together to create this scene that we're going to do in silhouette style. And now I'm going to show you quickly. Dina's already got hers. In fact, here, I'm going to start drawing, and you can watch me draw mine, and Dina will explain to you what she did to prep her canvas to get it ready to paint. Because my prepping is just drawing on the watercolor. Dina's prepping involves a little bit more. So, go ahead.
Okay, well, to start with acrylics, okay, I don't use expensive paint. I don't think it's necessary, and especially for beginners who wants to go out and spend lots of money on paint. I use Apple Barrel. You can get it at Walmart. They're 57 cents per bottle.
I love buying paint at Walmart.
And that's what I use. I don't need to use expensive paint, and nobody really needs to use expensive paint. Do I have it? Yes. But for me, basic, simple paint is the way to go. I don't use real fancy brushes, but to prep my canvas, I used a harvest orange, and I blended some white into it to make it a little lighter in the middle. And then to make sure that Chris and I started out with the same canvas, I used a tracing paper to put the scene onto my canvas. And then from there, we'll just start adding to it and see how we both interpret the scene.
Okay, cool. So I am just drawing the pumpkin on here first, and it's just a basic pumpkin shape. It doesn't matter, you know, if you think you're good at drawing them or not. You can't hardly mess it up because we're going to put some color on it and make it really pretty. So I'm just getting a basic thing going on there, which I will end up putting a bit of a jack-o'-lantern face in there. But for now, that's just my pumpkin. And I see that you're not seeing it very well. Let's see if that fixes it so that you can see. I didn't draw my lines super dark again. But, okay, it's just right there in the lower right corner. Then I'm going to put a line about, this is about halfway up my paper, and that's about a quarter of the way. Somewhere in there, I'm going to make this tree come off here, and it's got a little stick that sticks off, and it's you can't really draw this wrong. It's just a blob of leafish sort of shape. So I'm going to put some kind of leaf shapes and some edges that might be parts of leaves that are in the group. You really, like I said, you just can't draw this wrong. You don't even have to draw all of it on here. One thing I will tell you to do though is leave some open gaps near the edge so you've got place for the light to shine through between these dark shapes of the leaves. That will help make it look pretty. I lost my place while I was talking. There we go, that's like that, okay. Have that hanging down there. I'm paying more attention than what you need to pay attention to because I gotta get something on here that I can just paint on autopilot while I'm explaining to you later. Okay, that's enough detail for that. It isn't really very much detail, just a couple of little leafish sort of shapes. Now I'm going to put this black cat in here, and I'm going to start a little bit lower than, a little bit below the bottom of that tree, and I'm going to start making the back of the cat. Here's what I'm doing. So you can see this better. I'm going to draw the back of this cat here. That angle is easy to see when we're making the drawing. And if you're not good at drawing animals, starting right there is going to get you in a good spot. Now I want to put this cat where he's going to be kind of looking down towards this pumpkin. I've got it better over in here. This pumpkin's too tall, but rather than erase it, I'm going to just leave it. We're going to go with it. All right, so I've got to get the back of the cat angled on there, and then it kind of goes down, and then we've got his shoulder is there. So you make a shoulder sticking up, and then this comes down, and I'll come back to that in a minute. Now I'm going to go down here. I'm going to follow this, which is the shoulder, and that's going to be an arm. So I'm going to follow that down here and just start creating this arm, or front paw, maybe I should say. And then the front end of that is there. It comes up a little, and then it goes. And it needs to go, see how the hump, let's get this in the frame. The hump of the shoulder goes to right there, so this part needs to kind of come over almost that far forward too. So I've got to get this line all the way over to right about here. So that's a little bit more than what I wanted to angle it, but I'm going to do it because it's going to work. Now I'm going to put in this little bit of a gap right there between that front paw and the body. So I'm going to put the body going in there, and then a little bit of the hump for that back leg that's back there. I know it's back there, but I don't have to draw all of it. Now he's sitting on something, and his tail is coming to stick up along this way, so I'm just going to put a little bit of a curved tail on there and bring that back this way, and that shadow of that silhouette is now going to bump into this paw. Actually comes down here, and then I've got the front paw that's too big. Hid my eraser. There. Make that front paw something like that. You don't need much detail at all for this. There's the front paw, and now he's sitting up on a rock of some sort. So I'm going to make this rock stick out here and make it a little jagged, and make it another rock there. And that just comes over there to the bottom of the pumpkin somewhere. We're going to make it kind of misty, muddled black paint right in there. Okay, so that's all you need to do for the bottom. And then now we're going to get this neck and head on this guy. So we've got a little bit of shoulder coming down here, and then it starts going up for the head. Now, oops, knocked my eraser on the floor. That's okay, you can leave that one down there because I don't need I got a bunch. Okay, so now, let me look at this one, because I think I got this one better. Oh, I want to get rid of that for just a minute. That's part of the head. And what I want to do there is get this head figured out. It's where I want it positioned. And I want the face down right about in here, because I want him looking off down towards this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure the bottom edge. This is going to come up and then curve a little bit and make a neck right in here. And is that the right? Yes, according to where that is, this neck should be right in here. So I'm going to make that neck part. Now, I've got that positioned good, and that comes down a little, and then it angles downward, and then curves back up. That's the bottom edge of his face. And this is the outside edge of his face, and he's got a little bit of an eye there. Now, what I'm going to do before I draw too much more is I'm going to put the ears in, because they're really obvious. And if I got the angle of the ears good, then it really helps to sell the look of the cat. So this ear is going to go out to about right there, and that's mostly straight. And then this one's going to kind of come down like that. And I've got a line for the top of his head, and then this ear is going to angle up that way and then turn it into an ear shape, hopefully not too much of a bat shape. That's pretty good. Okay, then you can start making your rounded part of his head to connect this part over there to that ear. And I'm going to just round that up just a little bit and right to there. And I think that looks like a cat. So now let's see, I need to put this part goes up here and is just kind of a rounded there. Now I don't like that, so I can adjust it a little bit if I want to. Hopefully I've given you enough information you can get something drawn. Nope, liked it better like it was. You can get something drawn on yours that is gonna be what you like to get your cat shape on here. There, that's rounded is a little better maybe. And if you hear noise in the background, my grandson's doing his schoolwork in the next room, so we're gonna kind of ignore that. Okay, so there's enough of the drawing. Now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna have dark right along here, dark up here, maybe a little dark in this corner, and this stuff is gonna kind of frame the picture. And we'll have a light colored, light orangey colored glowing background. So, putting that aside, and now we get to the fun stuff. We're gonna drag out the paint. If I can figure out where to put this thing. I guess I should say, I'm coming to you. I was camping all week long. Let's go back to this one. I was camping all week long with my oldest daughter at Assateague Island National Seashore Campground. So I was up there having a very enjoyable time camping. I got all sunburned. And then I stopped in North Carolina now at my other daughter's house. And so I'm coming to you from North Carolina today. This is, as you can see, not my normal studio, and that's because I'm not at home. So my setup's a little different. Anyway, now let's see. Oh, and the next thing is I don't have my regular paint palette. I've got my travel palettes. So, Jackie, I don't know if you're out there or not, but I've sort of cleaned these a little bit just for you. They're not perfectly clean because a travel palette is never going to be clean. At least mine never are. I don't know. What do you think, Dina? Is a travel palette clean?
No.
All
Can
right.
you work with what you got?
Exactly. All right, the back of this one is wet because I did just wash it out a little bit, just for, look at that, got paint all over everything already. Just for those of you that want to see a clean paint palette, there you go. Okay, so this is what I'm working with today, and let's go ahead and get me out of the picture and just get the full artwork on the tabletop there. So you can see all of everything we got. Okay, so my paint palettes are my travel palettes today, and I've got this one that just, it's metal, it's a little midget tray, it's got some little dimples in the lid over here so I can put paint in those spots. But as you can see, it stays pretty well a mess. But that's one thing, and then I've got this is a Winsor Newton travel palette, and I've even forgotten how many colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's got 18 different colors and a couple of different wells and a little palette over on this side, which that does come out, but I don't like it too. So anyway, it's a mess because it's the travel palette, and it just, that's how they get, but it's still fine. And so I'm going to show you how to paint with this today. I have one more style to show you. You might can get one like this. It folds all closed like that, and then it opens back up. It's got this nifty little spot for you to put your finger in there and hold on to it, and it's for painting outside. And you can put paint colors in all these little wells here, and then use these for mixing areas. So that's another style that you might like. And it folds nice and flat, so it's easy to take along with you. All right, putting that aside, Dina, can you show real quick what you use?
What I use the simplest thing ever. Coffee can lids, oatmeal can lids. My palette is just a lid, and I put paint in it. It's easy cleanup. I don't have to go out and buy expensive palettes because I usually get all my paints mixed together.
Yeah.
So I just use basic things.
Well, and a difference too here, watercolor paint can dry, and I can add water to it, and it's ready to paint again.
Yeah, acrylics will dry fast.
Yeah.
That's
so,
why you always have a little spray bottle.
So you can keep it damp
you can keep
while
it damp.
you're working, but once it dries completely, you can't rejuvenate it and paint
No.
with it again. So I would assume that's why you
Yeah.
go through a lot of palettes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so now moving my palettes over here. Since the colors we're using, our color scheme is gonna be kinda limited. I didn't figure that keeping the paint palette in the picture was gonna be any, of any moment. So, it's not gonna be over there where you can see it very much, but I don't think you'll need to. If it seems like I need to show you the paint palette, I'll switch that over in here. Now, back to get me out of the picture, and let's go to painting. My first step is probably similar to what you were telling me yesterday, Dina. I'm gonna paint the lightest areas first, and then go back in with the darker stuff, and I think that's what you told me
Yes.
you do for and that's specifically because it's silhouette style, or just you paint your acrylics like that all the time?
I paint my acrylics like that all the time, especially when I'm working on silhouettes, because when I use the lighter colors, my blacks, because I only use up to maybe 4 colors, 4 or 5 colors at most.
Okay,
That's my hue colors, which is the backgrounds like blues and some 3 or 4 different colors blues, or a few colors of red, orange, and yellow. And then I use black and white. And my black, to get the light colors, I basically turn it into a watercolor.
oh, okay,
And what I do is I take black and add water to it. And I want it as thin as possible. So I have a little spray bottle
okay.
and I thin it out.
I'm gonna,
And I always have paper towels because I want it the lightest I can get it as possible.
actually put it right here in the center, so maybe they can see what you're doing.
And all I'm doing is I'm thinning it out to get it to the color I want.
Okay,
Because I want it a light color. And all I do is start up here.
okay, pull that down so it's in the frame.
Start up here and tap my colors in. And if it's a little too watery, I will take a paper towel.
I think you're still not quite in the frame, but
Not
maybe
quite
as
in.
you work lower and lower, it'll
I-
get. Sorry, again, we're working with,
Limited space.
unusual setup and cameras.
All I do is get it thin, pop the
Okay.
colors in, and if it is watery, you take a paper towel and just tap it out, and you will get that smoky background trees.
Okay,
And then I work from that color up a little darker until I work with black,
okay,
complete black. And that's how you'll get, like these back here, the misty shadows of the trees that look far back. So what you want to do is the light, and you go from light to dark, it pulls the leaves out.
that's exactly how I would paint that with watercolor as well. Let's see, let's put the, which number is it? That one. So now I gotta wait for the lag, sorry, to get it up on my preview screen so I know you're seeing what I'm pointing at. So Dina was saying these lighter trees back in the misty area, she paints those first with the watery color. That's exactly how I would do that with watercolor too. I would paint the far away trees that are the lighter color, and then just paint, bring it forward another layer of slightly darker trees and another layer of darker one, exactly like that, same way. So that's really cool to know that the acrylics and the watercolors can be done the same, like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna, so you go ahead and keep painting. I'm gonna keep this right here until we really need to zoom in. It's possible I might zoom in a little minute, but I think you can probably see what I'm doing. Well, let's just zoom in on mine. Just a second here. If you're not seeing what you want to see, the way to communicate that to me is to put it in the chat. But I do realize you have to have a Gmail or a Google account that you can sign into, so that then when you're on my live stream, you can participate in the chat, and that may make it difficult for some of you. I don't know a workaround to that if you don't want to have a Gmail or Google account. All right, so if I'm going to start, the way that I start my watercolor is I'm going to take my biggest brush and dip it in clean water and just put some clear water all over my whole page. Because Dina already did get her background orange on there because that had to dry before her next step. So I am just starting mine here. And I'm gonna go ahead and put color all over this thing here because I need my light color behind everything. And then I can paint my darker colors on top of the light color. There, I've got a pretty good consistent cover of moisture all over that whole paper there. It's not puddling, but there's a really good sheen on it. I'm not sure the camera can catch that, but I'll tilt it a little bit so you can get a chance to see if maybe you can see it. But anyway, it's a nice little coating of moisture all over the whole thing. Now I'm going to take one of my 1-inch flat angle brushes, and I'm going to go into my paint palette here in this orange. It looks real mucky, but it is a nice, pretty orange color. See, look at that. And I cannot tell you color names because I don't know. I just know this is a Winsor Newton travel palette. And if you find yourself one of those, it'll have these same colors in it if you're interested. Otherwise, make yourself a really pretty, nice orange color. And then I'm going to add a light bit of paint in there and then kind of spread it around with more water. And I think I want to keep my darker oranges around the edges. So I'm going to just put some more orangey color around these edges. Remember, we're working in silhouettes today. And I don't want any hard line here, so I'm going to go ahead and just feather that in. So when I paint my dark color on there, it's not going to make a hard edge, but also I'm going to put a jack-o'-lantern face in here, and so I want some good color inside that face, like the glow from, when, like there's light inside there. So I'm just going to get some random bits of orange into there so that I'll have a little bit of glow happening with some kind of interest to it, so it's not all solid. So hopefully what I've got there will provide me that. Got some darker bits and some lighter bits in there, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some darker up in here because I'm going to have some of that misty black color, whether it's mist or it's the leaves in the mist, I don't know. And this back in here is going to be really dark, so I think it can handle having a slightly darker bit of the orange in there. So this is where it's going to be my color in my painting. It's going to come from what I put in this background. Now I'm going to get a little bit more water in my brush. Just put a little water right in here, and then I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to blot a little bit so that I can pick up some bits of that paint and make some glow back in there just by picking a little bit of out. And while I'm doing this, while it's really good and wet, so it's gonna not make anything really stark. Like those are really bright white spots, and I don't necessarily want a paper towel shape. Like I'm not trying to do clouds, I just want to glow. But that's pretty good right there, what I've got. So I'm gonna let that mostly dry, and I'm gonna zoom back out here so you can see what Dina's got going on. Because she's starting to paint in with the black and get some of the tree and the, you can put twigs in here, you can put the whole tree trunk. This background is meant for you to just put in what looks interesting to you,
Right.
and make it your.
Xavier accidentally hit the reset button on the router, so I don't know if your internet's going to drop or not.
Okay, well, it's still showing that we're good, so if we have a little glitch, hopefully we'll pop back on there. So far, so good. It says we're live. Again, if you're out there watching and you can put a message in the chat to me to let me know the stream's still good. My settings are all showing me we're still connected, so I'm hoping that's what's going on. All right, when I zoomed in on Dina's, it cut off most of what she's doing, so I'm going to stay zoomed out. so that hopefully you can see all of our piece we're working on. Yeah, that shows you much better the corner where she's working. So you can see she's putting black in there. You want to say what you're doing?
Well, what I'm doing is I'm making my own interpretation of the tree. Since I'm working with a bigger canvas, I need to fill more space.
Okay.
So I got the misty stuff over here, which is probably trees, and I'll probably bring it down, but when I bring it down, I'll use my fingers.
Okay.
So it'll look more smoky,
Okay.
okay? And down here where you have the smoky in, and I'm just laying in the tree to give it my interpretation to fill some space. Either that or it's going to be a lot of blank space.
Yeah.
So you fill it in what feels right
Exactly.
and what makes it look good. You can add more twigs, you can add more leaves, you can get more definition, whatever feels right to you.
Perfect. Because that's what I want you to see. You can take, even when I send out a tracer and you trace that onto your canvas or your paper, you can make that your own unique piece by changing it up a little bit. So, I don't say no, you can't copy mine exactly, because that's why I gave it to you, to copy, if that's what you want to do. But also, you don't need to feel obligated to really get yours exactly like mine. You can put your own spin on it, put your own preferences. Just make it the way you like it. It only needs to be pretty. It does not need to look exactly like whatever you're using for a reference. So that's why I really like to see what you're working on too, when you can find your way to my website or my Facebook page and post pictures of, you can either email me your picture or you can post it on my Facebook page so I can see what you're doing, because I love to see that, and I like to show off and tell you how, show off my students and also tell you that yours looks great, because, it does. I like to see art, and I would like to encourage you that your art looks good. Okay, so what I'm going to do next on mine while she's doing her tree, I think I'll go ahead and start working on my tree side by side here, so you can see both of us doing the same thing and see how there's similarities and there are differences. So I'm using a smaller brush, but it's still a flat angled brush. And let's see here. I normally prefer to mix my own black, and I'm not sure what I've even got in this palette. I think I've got some Payne's Gray right in here, and I'm just going to go ahead and use it because it's what I've got. So Payne's Gray, and I think I'm going to warm it up just a little bit. I'm going to find something in this paint palette that is as close as I can get to a burnt sienna, and just drag some of that over there into it. I think that's what this is. That might be alizarin. It might be burnt sienna. It's gonna work, whatever it is. I'm putting it into that Payne's Gray, so it's still a dark color, but it's kind of on the warm side instead of the cool bluer side. It's more to the redder, warmer side of the color hue, or I guess that would be a hue. And it's really nice and dark as far as value goes, because I'm going to go ahead and just charge right in here and do this whole corner with a pretty strong value right here. And then I can add more water and lighten it up as I go. This is not as dark as I would like it to be. Looks pretty dark on the camera. That's good to see. There, okay, I just put some straight off the palette right on there, and I've got it really nice and dark. But where I've added this other color and it's starting to separate on me, that looks so pretty. I'm not sure the camera is going to be able to pick that up, but it looks nice. That's why I like to mix my own black and dark colors, because I like when it separates in the right on the paper here, and I get some coloration, variation of color yeah, coloration, whatever. I get variation of the color there. It's still dark, but I got little bits of the burnt sienna or red, whatever that was I mixed in there, kind of showing through. And Payne's Gray is actually a mix itself. It's, I used to know what it's made from, and I can't think of it right now, but you get some nice change of the color happening, and it's not like a one flat color, and that's what I like. That's my preference, which may not be standard if you're doing silhouettes. Maybe you want more flat color. But like when I paint a seagull's wing, I want to see different colors shining out from the black there, which I think would be the light on the seagull's wing. And I just like that, so that's what I'm kind of going for here too. And I'm just picking out some little bit of leaf shapes or twigs or something. And then I'm going to put my brush down flat. I'm going to dip it in the water. I'm not knocking any of the paint off, just dipped it in water, and I don't want it, see, it's not dripping on my paper, but it is really wet. And I'm just going to start spreading with my brush on the side and spreading out some color. And when it starts to get kind of running out of color, I can bring that out to the edge there and get some of that jaggedy dry brush edge kind of thing going on. And up in this corner, I don't really want so much gaps. Maybe that one little one is good. But I want to just keep it light is the main thing. And just kind of, I think that in other painting they would maybe call this scumbling. I don't know if you can really scumble in watercolor, but something like that to just get some light bit of color on there. And again with the leaf shapes and maybe a couple of twigs hanging out there with the leaf shape stuck on the bottom of it. Just any kind of thing like that to make it pretty and fill in that background area. We're sort of making a frame around the picture here. Again, anybody with any questions, please put it in the chat.
Oh yeah, that's very easy.
Okay, and I'm going to enhance my leaf shapes a little bit here because my background was still wet and they melted down into there like wet and wet, which normally I like, but I want a little bit
It's like
more definition right there.
touch it down and grab it.
And when you see my brush disappear, I'm just going over into my palette and grabbing some more of that Payne's Gray with my reddish color that I don't know what it is, and I'm calling it burnt sienna. Because I know if you mix Payne's Gray and burnt sienna, you're going to get the right color. All right, that's pretty good. Put a little bit more right here. That's a lot of paint right there. So that's flowing around good. Making me some good leaf shapes.
How does this look?
I have to keep from bouncing my brush and making palm frond shapes in this because I paint palm fronds too much. Okay, I think I like that pretty good.
Well, if you notice, I had some little accidents. Okay.
Okay.
These little spots.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Let's see if we can see those on the zoom in.
This isn't.
it's when I was using the very thin paint, so it kind of splotched.
You know.
Well, to fix the cat, I don't have to worry about it because it's all gonna be black,
Mhm.
and the pumpkin here too. And this here,
Mhm.
the little one above the stem, all you have to do is extend it, and it'll cover it right up.
Yeah.
And then like the little spot here, add a little smoke
Yeah.
to it, and same way right there. I mean, it happens, especially when you're using thin paint.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to fix.
Okay, you just incorporate it into your design.
Yeah.
Orange and
Okay.
yellow.
Pretty much
Cool.
that's what you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yours is
Because-
looking good.
There's always accidents.
There is, isn't there?
Well, I was told this. An artist always creates. Not everything is good, so you create again.
Okay, yeah.
That and my motto is, and I don't know who said this, every broken crayon can fill a page with color.
Oh, that is really cool.
Yeah, I don't know who said it, but I take that to heart because you can do anything with anything.
Okay,
So,
I'm gonna remember that.
whatever colors you choose, I've worked in purples, I've worked with just solid blues, and I've done black and whites. It doesn't matter what color you choose as long as they make you happy.
Yeah.
That's what it is, as long as you're happy.
Art can be such great therapy if you just let yourself play and have fun instead of being frustrated because you can't get it to look exactly
Exactly.
like the reference. Or sometimes even I have something in my head, an idea, and when I go to put it on the paper, it's not working.
Anything, yeah. I have
But-
a few canvases I have in my closet that have not been finished because I got to it and I stood back and it's like, okay, this does not look right. So I put them aside, and maybe a week, maybe a couple months, I'll take them back out and I look at it again.
Have you ever put
And
it?
if I can fix them
You see?
the way I have in my head, then I do. If not,
And yellow, you draw them all together.
then I do what a lot of artists do. I will black the canvas out and start over using a black canvas. And then sometimes that's just what it took
Yeah.
to make it look right.
Well, what I have noticed is I can put my stuff away and work on it, come back later and look at it and go, well, what did I think was wrong with it? It looks
Yeah.
fine. And also, while I'm painting, if I get something not quite right, a lot of times what I've realized I need to do is to just let my painting tell me what it wants to be. Just change my mind about what I'm trying to paint and go with the flow of whatever is happening on my canvas. And very often I can still get something really beautiful.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I started out to paint, but it's still really beautiful. So that's a cool thing too. All right, now here I'm just filling in. This is almost like paint by numbers at this point. I've just got a really dark value or a dark mix to make a really dark value and filling this cat in like it's just a silhouette. I don't really need a lot of nuance of light and dark in this one, but a little bit, maybe a little bit can enhance it. You just don't know that until you get started going and you do what you got to do as you're working on it to make it come out right. And I'm using the very tip of my angled brush here to make sure I get my edges where I want them to be. But see, I've got that on there, and I didn't actually even paint that exactly in the shape that I drew it because I kind of tweaked my drawing a little bit with my paint and got it a shape I like better. And there's a little tiny bit of pencil drawing out there that's going to show the pencil line, and that to me adds to my picture. It does not in any way to me take away from my painting that I've got a little of the pencil showing at all. That's my personal style. So, you know, you can take or leave that as you're working. Oh, good, we got some people. Hi, Sandra, and hi, Jackie. Thank you, and be here as long as you can. And also, before I forget, this will be, like usual, I'm recording it as we're working here, and it'll be published publicly to my YouTube channel as soon as we're done, 3 or 4 minutes after we close here. It'll go up, and so you can watch it again if you missed part or if you wanted to just watch and then paint along later. You can always hit that pause button. You can even hit the playback speed and make it slow way down or speed way up. Just you have to adjust the audio if you're going to do that. Otherwise, you're going to hear chipmunks or really slow talking. Maybe that's like elephants. Not elephants. Sorry, whales underwater. I don't know. Anyhow, avail yourself of that if you want to. All right, so I'm still just filling in my silhouette. I see Dina over here is adding some light color in the bottom.
I'm kind of shaping the rock.
Oh, okay.
It'll give it a little bit of pop.
I like this silhouette painting. I don't know that I've ever done a whole, well, I guess maybe I did a sailboat one, but I didn't do it like this. This is fun. A whole silhouette, whole painting of silhouette. And I did not give a reference for the reference photos, but you can find really good ones again on unsplash.com, or I think the other one's Pixabay, Pixabay.com, and all of those have free to you, free to artists reference photos if you want to look up jack-o'-lantern or Halloween pumpkin or black cat or anything like that that you want to put in there. I think I found this just putting in Halloween images on Unsplash, and you can find you'll probably recognize the things that we are working from here if you go on there and find them, or find your own and just create some fun little scene like this and then paint it all in silhouette.
Notice how I gave you that whole stack of papers? Right here.
And then if you want, you can put a little saying in there too with a pen, an ink pen or something later, or even paint it. But you can leave it like just like a picture too. Totally up to you how you will enjoy this piece. Now I'm filling in a large area here, so I'm adding extra water and extra paint right straight from my palette right onto the paper and letting it mix on the paper, because I like the look of that too. Add a little extra water so I can just spread it further. No, I got paint on the table, but it's watercolor, so it'll wash off. We're working on my daughter's kitchen countertop, so Dina's got paper under hers so we don't get in the doghouse when she gets home.
Yeah, acrylic's kind of hard to get off of a counter, unless it's glass. Glass, it wipes right off.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start on the cat.
Oh, wow. Sandra, good to know where you're from. That's really super cool. Hi, Bill, too. Jackie says you're here in California. Glad you're watching. Hope you're enjoying making Halloween fun on our paper. I just can't get this stick to look like I like it to look, so I'm going to keep working on that a little tiny bit right there. And I'm just about ready to work on my jack-o'-lantern, or pumpkin, whatever I'm calling him. I need a little bit more dark right up in there. Now I may have done a little taboo here and painted on this while it was not the whole way dry, and that'll get me some strangeness going on. But since this area right over here is meant to be jumbled up bunch of leaves and stuff, I'm just going to drag it right out into that part and hopefully lose my messy edge. Again, I'm trying to refrain from painting palm fronds in here. Those of you that know, I'm from Florida, and I'm usually painting beach scenes. So these palm fronds are just trying to sneak into my Halloween picture. Okay, I'm just going to get some really light color around my edges here. And I'm going to fill in, let's see, I need to draw on my jack-o'-lantern face so I can paint around it. And I don't want hard edges, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of dark color right around the bottom of my pumpkin, so I can fill in underneath. But before I paint the dark color of the silhouette of the pumpkin, I need to put the face on him, or I'll lose that. Ooh, I like how that did. I just dragged my brush along there, and I've
That
got
was good.
some, it's darker there. I don't know if I can zoom in and get, well, you can see it on the screen, I see that. That's gonna dry really cool and get me some of that variation of, like, I want it to look like there's some misty something going on there, and anyway, that's cool. All right. Now, what kind of face do I want to put on this guy? I'm going to put something that I think looks sort of like googly eyes on my pumpkin. I'm going to put a circle here, and then I'm going to make another circle inside of it, and bring this up to points right here. Because if you were carving this, you'd have to leave part of that attached so that it would stay there. And let's see, I'm going to have the other one looking upwards so it really has that effect of googly eye. So I've got a circle that I left a little bit open there, and then I'm going to just put another circle inside of it. That's going to give me some funny looking eyes. And now I want him to have kind of a smiley mouth, but it's going to need to be jack-o'-lantern style. Make it a little jaggedy, fun mouth. There. So now I got my jack-o'-lantern face drawn on here. I guess I'll zoom in real quick. We'll zoom in on mine, so maybe you can see what I got there, and then we'll zoom in on Dina's. Okay, you can kind of see that I just drew a face on my pumpkin. Now let's zoom to Dina's and see.
The one thing about acrylics is a lot of times you have to let them dry before you continue.
Yeah.
So,
You have that a little bit in watercolor too. Not quite as much. So Sandra, I see that you have a black cat
okay.
called Ruby. Oh, cool. So you can be painting Ruby with the jack-o'-lantern.
Okay, now what kind of face do I want to put on mine?
So you're using what kind of pencil? Just a regular pencil
Just
to draw?
a regular
that?
sketching pencil.
Oh, okay.
It's just a sketching
Draw right
pencil.
on your painted canvas.
Draw right on my painted canvas.
See, I'm learning some of this acrylic tricks today.
When I want to put a pattern on
Mm-hmm.
that's really technical, I use liquid chalk.
Oh, well, what is liquid chalk?
Liquid chalk is basically wet chalk. It comes in a pen.
Hmm.
And especially if I'm doing a dark background,
Mm-hmm.
because trying to put pencil on a dark background, you can't really see. So I use the liquid chalk so I can trace what I need to do, put it on here, and it'll show up perfectly on the dark canvas. And paint goes over chalk, so you don't have to
Right.
worry about any edges.
I'll have to look for that. Do you have it at Michael's? Walmart?
Michael's, Walmart.
Cool. I'd
It's
love to
just
buy my
a
art supplies
stick
at
of
the
liquid chalk.
Walmart. Okay.
It looks like a pen.
Cool. Okay, good to know. So I'm gonna watch you do that, what you're doing there, and then I'll switch back and paint some more on mine.
Well, I'm going to put a cute little bat here. And it doesn't have to be perfect because when you carve pumpkins, nothing's perfect.
Right.
So I'm going to put a little bat here.
Oh, you're making the Batman. You know what got me thinking the pumpkin reference that I found on the Unsplash had the Batman signal silhouette carved in it, and I thought, oh, perfect for silhouettes. Guess it was that Batman symbol.
Daddy, my hand is very tired. Can you at least do like this part and I can maybe add it?
Can you add some orange into the yellow here?
Yes.
And then we're gonna wait if your hand's tired because
That
they're our
works.
project, not mine.
And then I'll just paint around that, and I will be putting a lighter color orange in
What color do you want
to make
Okay.
the bat pop out.
Alright.
Go ahead and paint
That's
that.
kind of pretty.
Okay. And what color you wanna mix with it? I think that color with maybe purple would look good.
What about this purple?
Lavender?
Lavender.
Okay, so
Both are in my coat.
okay, so we'll take these back and put them in here. You take this over there with this over there, and we can do the house, and then we'll do the roof a different color, okay?
So you're just painting right around that, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do with my watercolor. I think I'll go ahead and zoom out so I can paint too, because we're doing good for time. We're closing in on 1 hour. And that's about the right amount of time to do this. Let's see. Mix up some more. And the light just changed. I think when I depend on the sunlight, it's good and bad. The sunlight makes the best light for the camera picking up the colors and everything right. But then if a cloud goes in front of the sun and it changes our light, then we have a little bit of a moment where we're in the dark. But I'm hoping this is going to be good. I'm going to try to get a little bit of pumpkin definition in here. You know, I think I might actually, I'm going to go ahead and put dark right up here in the stem. And I'm going to put it a little bit less dark than that. I'm going to do this just a tiny bit less silhouette-ish on my jack-o'-lantern. Because when I was playing with trying to create the thumbnail for today's live stream, which I was doing in the middle of the night because I really was camping with my other daughter all week. I got here yesterday evening, and I had to do all this stuff from my laptop here at my daughter's house, and so I was finding that I was out of my comfort zone, really, trying to get this stuff done on different equipment than I normally use in a different location. I don't have a lot of the stuff, I don't have access to a lot of the stuff I would have if I was working on this from my studio at home in Florida. But I got it done. But anyway, while I was working on it, I was trying to come up with something for the thumbnail, and I accidentally created a really cool digital art piece in a program that I couldn't then save to a JPEG or a PNG file. It wouldn't let me do it, so I wasn't able to use that one. But the piece was so pretty. I'm going to try and see if I can duplicate that a little bit here, just by putting some color where these lines are, and where I want the darkest color to give the shape of my pumpkin. I'm going to go ahead and put color on, but then what I'm going to do is get water on my brush, and I don't want it drippy. I don't want it, it's a lot of water in it, but it's not dripping on my paper, so if that helps you know how much water I've got here. But anyway, now I'm going to take that and just kind of shade in here by loosening up some of what I just put on there, and I'm avoiding those areas that are going to represent the cutouts of the face. So without getting in there, I'm just spreading this lightly over here so I get like a lighter colored thing going on. Maybe there's more light showing on him or something, I don't know. But this is what like I'm saying, I accidentally created this kind of thing when I was working last night trying to create the thumbnail. So paint right around there. Paint my little cutouts. Might need a little more color in there, because I do want the eyes to show. might end up making it a little darker than this, but so far I kinda like it. Got a little fuzzy on my paper, come off there. So I just added a little more paint to my brush, but I've still got lots of water on there. So I'm able to spread it around. Might should work a little bit faster. If possible, work fast. And then I'll just put some more dark right here. And then just bleed it up into that a little bit to create the contour of the shape of the pumpkin. And I create a little bit of a lost edge there where you can't really distinctly see where the pumpkin and shadow differentiate. They just meld into each other there.
What? No.
My granddaughter might have just walked through the background, but
Pay attention when I talk.
we're doing this at my daughter's house,
Actually, let's
and
go to the top one.
we're doing what we gotta do.
There's only one on here. Okay, gonna have to wait.
Okay, now I've got paint here and a damp brush, and I'm just gonna drag some of that up into this area, still mostly wet. And if I just drag that up in there, you get some really cool effects happening there too. Just drag your wet brush with a bit of paint on it right up into a wet area of the pumpkin, and you get a neat gradation of color happening. I'll put some darker color up here to make this side a bit more shadowed. Oops, I got in the mouth. Now, I'm gonna use a different clean brush, and I'm gonna pick that color right back out of there, because I don't want to change the shape of that mouth. So before it dries, just lift that right back up. There, I erased that mistake. But now, I can't paint right beside there because that's wet, and if I paint right beside there, it's going to run over into that wet area. So I'll have to wait to finish that up till that gets more dry. But that's okay. I'm going to put more color right in here. I do think I need more color in here too. So let me just make that darker. And I'll spread that out a little better in a minute. Make a little bit of a distinction here. But this is kind of the nitpicky part where you're just doing what looks good to you. I'm putting darker color on one side, darker splotches in some parts, dragging a little bit of color over here, almost sort of dry brush style, to get it just having some character to it. And I'm going to loosen up that right there with some more water and then just drag that over. So I have a little bit of a distinction between the little cap that's been cut off and then put back on for the top of his head. And then I want a bit of a shadow, just the least little bit of an edge right there, just to kind of accentuate the fact that that is what that is right there. And then again, wet the brush and drag that down a little bit. And tweak the shape that I got going around there. And go back in and put more color right over here, darken that up. Wet the brush again and drag it through there to just drag that paint over and kind of feather it out a little bit there. Got like a little bit darker right there. got a little less paint and then dry most of it off, and I'm just gonna, oops, I dried all of it off. Won't work. I want to dry brush a little bit right on there if I can, just for some texture, because I like it. He needs a little bit more under this eye to bring that eye out. And I see I got inside the part where I didn't want it to have color, so I'm going to use my clean brush and lift that back out again in a second. There we go, that worked. Got a lot of good stuff come off there that time. And I need to darken up the bottom of mine, and I'm about finished. Except I think I'll put a little bit more. I've got a little bit redder version of the paint on here. I think I do. I tried to. A little more of that burnt sienna sort of color, but I'm watering it way down. I'm just gonna put a little bit more of the warmish color back in here to enhance my misty background going on, and I want to put a little bit down in here too. And it doesn't need any particular shape, it's just mist and leaves and any of that kind of stuff, and I'm going to just kind of bring it out to almost nothing. It's kind of back behind there. Feather that out a little, or a lot. Get just clean water on my brush now and just loosening up those edges where it looks like then the mist just kind of fades into that glow that I got going on in the back. And I dropped water right here accidentally. So I'll just get a little bit more color back on my brush and just put it back on there, like that. And by laying my brush down flat, I can drag it along there and smooth that color out however I want it, and then end up with a uneven, sort of a textured edge. And I like how it looks. Gotta fix this side a little bit better. It dried wonky. So there, that's fixed. I think I'm liking mine. I might, well, let me just use this clean brush right here, a small clean brush, and clean up my eye cutouts a little bit. But I do want to leave that one little part connected because that's, I'm trying to make it look like it would look if it was really a carved pumpkin there. I will add just a tiny touch more orange in there to bump up the glow effect inside the pumpkin's interior. Yeah, like that. I like how that looks. It sort of looks like I've actually got a fire or candles or something inside of this thing. I like mine. I think I might be ready to call mine done. See if I can move things around a little bit and get the whole thing. There, There, I've got almost the whole of mine. That's pretty much the whole of mine in the frame. So mine is pretty much done. I think Dina, you're
Almost.
putting some light. Did you mix some white into your orange?
Yes, I did.
So you're putting some lighter orange on for a glow. I like to add glow.
Yeah, I need more white.
Here, I'll move mine over and you can scoot yours this way just a little, and I think you'll have all of that in the frame and they can see what you're doing.
A little bitty touch up. And I think we're done.
Okay. Well, I had fun doing this.
I did
And I
too.
learned some stuff about acrylics. So this was, it was pretty cool. We got it done in only a little bit more than an hour. And that was with us talking a lot and me taking the time to draw the drawing on here. So this is an easy project that won't take too much time. And like I said, you can put a little saying back in there, happy fall or happy October or I don't know, boo to you. Oh, something like that. So, you know, you can put your own spin on it. Turn it into your own your Halloween decor. You can even paint this small on greeting cards if you send Halloween greeting cards. Let's see. Sandra asks, "Is the background painted or is it just?" Oh, it was painted.
Yeah, acrylic. Okay, for me to do this in this amount of time,
Uh-huh.
because I could do more, but the paint's wet, so.
Yeah.
The background had to be painted at least a half an hour before I started because it had to be dry. Either
Okay.
that or I'd be sitting here waiting every 10 minutes
Okay.
for the paint to dry.
So you just put like a solid coating of orange, basically,
Orange.
all over your whole canvas.
I used orange and white, the same color, but on the top I used the plain orange. In the middle I added some white, so it'd be a
So
little
be
bit
lighter.
lighter.
Okay. Yeah, I do see that. I'm not sure
Yeah.
the camera's picking it. Well, it is. You can see
Yeah.
in the camera. This part right in here has a bit lighter color, so it glows a little bit. So that's where you put in. Just added some white
Yeah.
to the canvas. Okay, so you paint your canvas ahead of time and let it dry, so your background is dry and ready to paint on, to draw and paint on. Whereas mine, it's watercolor. I just wet the paper and put my orange background on, and then pretty much right away started in this up here, because this can be wet and wet. When the color kind of melts down into the wet background, it softens the edges, and then I get that misty look that I'm looking for with my watercolor. So that's, I think, it for today. This was super fun. Thank you so much, Dina, for doing this. This was
No, you're welcome. I had
very
fun.
cool. Good, I'm glad. We'll do it again. Okay, so thank y'all for watching, and remember, it'll be uploaded. Let's see, let's get that button. This will be uploaded to my channel, and shortly after I click end here, it'll be there, and you can tune back in and watch it again if you want to. Watch all my other videos and live streams, and if you haven't already subscribed, if you subscribe, then hopefully you'll get a notification. But I am doing this every first and third Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And thank you so much for tuning in. And I guess I'll hope to see you again in a couple weeks. Bye for now.